Hello, everyone. It's your favorite interview buddy here again. We will be starting a new series on interview preparation tips. Today, I'll be giving you tips on how to work smarter and faster while preparing for your coding interviews. We will do this by using only the free version of ChatGPT and the Leetcode Discuss section. Before I show a quick demo of how you can do this, I will quickly outline 4 easy steps to follow when using ChatGPT to prepare for your coding interviews. You want to start by giving ChatGPT a little bit of context. You want to mention the goal, the role you are applying for or interviewing for, your current level, are you entry level or staff level? um, what are the areas of focus, and if you have it, a good description of the role you are trying to apply for. ChatGPT will use this information to help guide your preparation. After providing context to ChatGPT, now you need to give it instructions on what to do to help you with solving coding questions. There are 2 ways to go about this. You could ask ChatGPT to act as your interviewer by choosing a coding question for you based on the context you gave it, and then you follow the prompts. Or you could go to the Lead Code Discuss section to skim through the pages and gather questions from other people's interview experiences at your company of interest or all possible companies. Once you have a list of questions, then you go back to step 2 to provide them as input to ChatGPT. You provide your questions to ChatGPT or ask ChatGPT to give you its own questions based on your context. Then you provide initial solutions to ChatGPT based on the questions it gave you. Then, if you don't have an initial solution or you don't understand the question, you can ask ChatGPT to provide all possible solutions for the question. Then, for each solution, you could ask for analysis or reasoning behind the solution. Take your time to understand each solution, the whys and the hows. Ask ChatGPT to explain each concept and any line in the solution that you do not understand. Do this until you have a full understanding of all solutions, the pros, the cons, and the trade-offs. Finally, for each question, you need to tailor the feedback to your level. Ask ChatGPT for follow-up questions. You need to ask questions like, if I were a senior engineer, how would you expect me to approach these questions? What are the key areas to focus on? What are the edge cases to think about? What are possible trade offs? What are the things I would be expected to talk about based on my seniority level? Then you would ask ChatGPT for possible follow up questions based on your seniority level. Now, based on the responses you get, you need to iterate as necessary. And then finally, repeat steps 2 and 3 as many times as necessary. Now, let's go through a quick demo on how this would work in a real scenario. So, you want to start by creating a new chat with ChatGPT. Remember the first step, provide a bit of context, and then either ask it to give you questions or you provide questions as input. For the purpose of this demo, we would be going to the Lead Code Discuss section to try and gather questions. So let's assume that we are trying to prepare for the Amazon interview. So we want to go through all lead code experiences that are related to Amazon and read through and figure out all the questions they are asked. So we can see for this person, this is a very, very recent post. For this person, we can see that this person was asked the variation of a knapsack problem, top view of a binary tree, right view of a binary tree. Now we can take this and give it as input into ChatGPT. So let's proceed. I have this prompt here. Hi, I'm an entry-level engineer applying for a software engineer role. Could you act as an interviewer and help me prepare for my coding round? I have a list of questions that I have gathered. I will provide the questions to you and we proceed from there. That sounds great. Please go ahead and share the list of questions you've gathered. Once you have them, I can act as an interviewer and walk you through a realistic coding interview. Now, so then I can copy this question and say, here, let's start with this question. And it tells you this is a classic traversal problem that comes up often in interviews. And it goes into the interviewer mode. You are given the root of a binary tree. Return the right view of the binary tree. Now, this is going to give you the question, possible follow-ups, and then it's going to ask you to try it first and give you feedback. And then you say, I am unable to solve this. Could you give me all possible solutions? And then it's going to take a while to come up with all possible solutions to the question you've been given. And then it gives you different approaches to solve this problem and possible code solutions. And then it's your job to go through the possible solutions, try to understand them. For example, you could ask a question like, for approach 1, why did you use a DQ? What are the other possible data structures? And then it gives you a quick explanation of why it used a DQ. Because during an interview, you need to understand the whys, not just the how. Oh, why did you use a DQ here? Okay, why did you do this here? Why did you do that here? And then you get all the explanations and then you see the time complexity. Now, if there is any line you do not understand, you could also ask it to explain it to you. You could also ask it to explain the reasoning behind its solutions. Now, for the sake of time, now you want to, tailor the feedback to your level. And then you ask questions like, if I were a senior engineer, what are possible follow-up questions that my interviewer might ask me? And then it would give you possible things to focus on if you were or a senior engineer. And then it's asking you stack versus queue trade-offs, iterative or recursive, edge cases, robustness. It literally is going to take you through all of this. And I would expect you to go through each point to have like a robust understanding of the question. And then it even takes you to like some practical or system level, multi-threading, concurrency, large scale trees. These are different level of difficulties depending on your seniority level. And as you can see here, that you've saved a lot of time by just using ChatGPT to prepare for this question. And then let's take the second interview question, we could ask it about a variation of a knapsack problem. So let's assume you are satisfied with that question, you totally understand it, and you want to go to the next one. Remember, I said you repeat steps 2 and 3. So you say, okay, let's move to the next question. Remember, this question is not very specific, and then ChatGPT can come up with a very specific question that is a variation of the knapsack problem. As you can see, we are using the free version, and you can already do a lot with the free version. So you see, it gives you a question and then it asks you to solve it. Implement a function that solves the O1 knapsack problem and returns the maximum achievable value. And then it gives you input and then gives you a possible output. And then it tries to take you steps of what to do. And then you can walk through it and say, okay, give me all possible solutions, and then it gives you all possible solutions. You could also ask it to analyze each solution, ask it why it chose this data structure against this data structure, the trade-off between each approaches, and you could also tailor the feedback to your seniority level. If I were a senior staff engineer, how would I be expected to approach this question, or things like that. And this is how you can use ChatGPT to your advantage, and it allows you to prepare for your coding interviews in a very fast and efficient way. It can explain so many concepts to you, and instead of trying to go through a lot of YouTube videos or try to read textbooks, it can bring a lot of information and knowledge to you right here, just in the chat, and then you just read, iterate, and understand. With this, we have come to the end of this demo. I hope you leverage on the free ChatGPT tool and the Leetcode Discuss section to prepare for your next coding interview. Thank you. See you in the next lesson. Please like this video if you found it useful. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notification so you don't miss out on upcoming interviewing tips. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.